come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky. Gentlemen, I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is the one, the only, the Easty Beeves.
You were thinking of that one.
Yeah, I really was. I had to get that one together because I don't want to repeat myself too many times.
That's fair. That's fair. You're coming up with a lot of cool Star Wars names, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Anyway, Steve, what are we here to discuss today?
Today, we are talking about Goku.
Indeed. Things are getting a little Dragon Ball centric on the channel lately, and I don't care.
Fun.
It is.
These.
Yeah, next week we'll have a review of Dragon Ball Sai up, if all goes as planned. So, yeah, look forward to that, everybody. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about Goku today in our character analyses. Steve, what do you think would a good place to start would be?
I think something about Goku that's just both kind of the biggest problem with him and ultimately the thing that makes him most endearing, at least to me, is that he's kind of a blockhead.
Oh, definitely.
It's a weird thing where, like, and I was thinking about Dragon Ball Evolution today. I don't know why. I was just thinking about it. And the big thing that movie didn't get, aside from almost everything, is their Goku just seemed like too much of an angsty teenager. It seems like if you're not writing Goku as almost by compulsion making mistakes that are laughable, then maybe you're not writing Goku.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to agree. Goku is like, he's hilariously ignorant, right?
Yep.
Like, that's one of the core things. Toriyama's talked about how he doesn't really have much of a character for Goku. He kind of wanted just a very, very, like, blank slate to work with. But there are very few things that make him stand out. He likes to fight. He's good-natured at heart. He eats a bunch. He's a blockhead.
Yep. It's
hard to think of too much else that really makes Goku stand out from, like, other characters and stuff like that.
That's kind of the fun of it, though, right? Like, he's sort of this almost unconscious blank slate where, like, he's not so vague that you can't tell that this is a behavior Goku would or wouldn't do. But he's also not so specific that you can't, like, see yourself in him when he's having fun and stuff.
Oh, definitely. And that's one of the things. But yeah, like, he is really, really dense, except for the one thing that he cares about, which is fighting.
Yeah.
And that is always just, like, it's so fascinating to see Goku, like, coming up with strategies for a fight, but, like, he can't, like, think far ahead enough to, you know, drive a car.
He sort of gets, it's weird how good he gets at that too. Like, he just sort of becomes a fighting genius at points. Like, his fight with Tien in Dragon Ball when he's older is fantastic. But then, like, more specifically, when he figures out the whole don't try to become a Super Saiyan 2, just let your body get accustomed to Super Saiyan so it's on permanently, like, that was kind of ingenious.
Oh, definitely. And, like, there's so many things about that, like, all over the place with Dragon Ball Z, where when it comes to body consciousness, I guess you could call it, being aware of what you are capable of and what you aren't capable of, and what to focus on, what not to focus on, how to train to deal with those things. It's always the smartest things that Goku comes up with. When, like, in that second, or no, that would be the third World Martial Arts Tournament. Or no, it's the second, where Goku had been training on his own for a couple of years. And, like, Krillin grabs his tail, and he goes, I got you this time, Goku. And Goku just, like, throws him around. with it, and he'd found a way to train himself to not have that weakness anymore, which was just great.
Yeah.
It just works so fundamentally well at that point.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the things, and I don't know why I keep bashing on Super when we talk about Dragon Ball, but this is one of the things where I feel like Super sort of misses, in that it makes him almost too much of a blockhead to where that sort of like fighting genius thing doesn't come through. The big difference between like the Super anime versus the movies that they did is that Goku in the anime seems to kind of just keep banging his head against a wall until the wall inevitably goes down, as opposed to like building himself up in any way. The Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken thing is the one time he doesn't do that, but like his whole fight with Beerus in the movie is about trying strategy and then realizing ultimately it's just a matter of this guy's too strong for you and you just have to keep trying to hit him harder. Whereas in the anime, it's just kind of, I'm going to hit you harder over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and never kind of realize that you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, and I'm just started watching through Super. I'm on the first episode of the Resurrection F arc, and I agree. Like the movie Battle of Gods is a really, really strong movie, and there are things I like about the arc, but there are things outside of the fight with Beerus. Like the fight with Beerus in the movie is arguably perfect.
It's one of my, if not my favorite fights in Dragon Ball. It's just so good.
Yeah, but in the series, it's just like it goes on forever and ever, and not in a particularly good way. And I don't know, there's moments where like he figures stuff out in the fight, like how to match the timing and angle and power of a punch with Beerus so that they're not creating those waves that will destroy the universe. That's pretty clever, thinking on his feet, fighting, and even Beerus is kind of taken aback by that.
That's fair. I kind of forgot about that.
And that's fine because I just saw it, this weekend, whereas it's been like 2 years now.
Yeah, it's probably been about 2 years at this point.
Yeah, so like there's stuff like that where Goku's like really, really good at thinking on his feet during a fight, and a lot of that's just Toriyama, even though Super's not written by Toriyama, but throughout the series, a lot of that is just Toriyama coming up with stuff as he goes. It is that self-insert kind of level of, well, I don't know. When I started this fight between them, I didn't know how Goku was going to beat him. Now I'm at a point where I need Goku to turn the tables. So what have I done so far, and what would make sense for what Goku could do to win?
Yeah.
It is like, and so there's no calling it is the really impressive thing. The fact that it's not seeded, the fact that it is so incredibly organic that there's no calling it is always something that's like, it should never work, but it does. It's like, you got the two guys in, using the term comics broadly, comics that write like this, that have really made it big. And it's Toriyama and McFarlane, and one time it works out beautifully with a couple hiccups, and one time it works out awfully with a couple moments of genius. I'll let you choose which one.
It's really hard to like be able to strike that balance, and I guess Dragon Ball as a franchise builds itself on that sort of fluidity. Towards the end of Dragon Ball, that last martial arts tournament, it seems like he's got more of like a deliberate process in the fights and stuff, but that's only to kind of show off how awesome Goku's become over time. Mm-hmm. But with like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z in particular, Goku's whole strategizing, learning, training thing, he's always had a habit of like outpacing his masters, but like, and Team 4-Star jokes about this, the whole like Goku just steals people's attacks. Yeah. He has a way of like stealing them, kind of doing them wrong, but then at the same time making it so much his own it almost doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Like, you and I have talked about this at one point. I don't think Goku's ever mastered the Kamehameha wave.
Yeah, because of the whole Master Roshi bulk up thing.
Yeah, and like you could argue he's just more efficient at it and stuff, but like everything about Master Roshi gets better when he does the Kamehameha wave. Goku just blasts him off left and right, and I'm like, I'm not sure if it's just a different way of using it, or if he's just using it as a general energy wave that's, like, arguably more powerful. Because, like, I've thought about this, like, is the Gallic Gun and the Kamehameha Wave basically the same thing, just channeling all your energy into one blast?
You know, this is the thing that I feel like, the one thing that I feel like Naruto does kind of better than Dragon Ball, which is, at least there's a reason for why people are putting their hands in a certain posture and it comes out in the attack. I have literally no idea in Dragon Ball. The Gallic Gun might require you to put your arm in a weird backwards position to do a thing, but I don't know why.
Well, it just seems like they both work in that same method of you charge it up and then with both hands and then you release it with the two of them together, right? Obvious exceptions aside, like, I don't know, using your feet.
That was awesome too.
It was bizarre. It's weird because he uses his feet to fly in the tournament and then not a ton of time seems to pass between the end of Dragon Ball and the beginning of the Z, and he can't fly when he fights Raditz, and then he gets to the other world, and he sees Snake Way, and that's the first time Goku ever flies. And it doesn't make any sense.
He just kind of picks it up.
Yeah, whatever. But
by the way, having the feet Kamehameha as an attack in Xenoverse was one of my favorite things.
Gotcha. But, like, back to the point, like, there's that method of charging it up and then firing, and so I'm not sure if it is like meant, and the answer is he hasn't thought it through. No one's thought it through. I'm not sure if it's like actually, you know, this kind of universal type of an attack, an energy attack, like exactly what kind of energy you're drawing at what time, you know, whatever. It's just one of those things to think about. Like, is he just using the Kamehameha Wave like one of those charge-up energy attacks, or is Master Roshi's Kamehameha Wave significantly different in the way it, like, empowers his body when he does it?
And, I mean, similarly, there's a thing with the Spirit Bomb early on, where, like, the way King Kai shows him and the way he does it that first time are very different than the rest of that show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't entirely know what the deal with that is. Kaioken's also arguably one of those weird things where, like, he seems to do it very differently the more he does it.
Yeah, and he starts going to just ridiculous heights where it's like times 20, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, in the Vegeta fight, he tops out at 4, I think, right?
Yeah, it's during their blast, between the Kamehameha and the Gallic Gun. It's during that section where he tops out the wave.
Oh, by the way, I have a rant about the Kaioken and Dragon Ball and Goku in general.
Okay.
So everyone knows that meme over 9,000, right?
Yeah.
That meme is really stupid. Because even in that context, 9,000 is meaningless literally a second after it happens.
Yeah, because then it's like immediately 18,000.
Yeah, like he jumps from 9,000, like 18 to 20,000, then immediately does Kaioken. Like it's the weirdest meme. Why would you latch on to over 9,000 except for Vegeta's delivery of it?
It's all because of Vegeta's delivery of it.
But like 9,000 is not impressive as a number. Like, sure. And that's the annoying thing.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. My favorite is still it's 1006. Kick his ass, Nappa.
That's fair.
Yep. So there's a lot of stuff like that though with Goku where I'm like the thought process behind how he does things and stuff is really interesting, and I do wonder how much actual training he has to do because he just seems to pick shit up so naturally, and I always wonder if he really perfects it or if he just keeps like he gets the basic level of it and just moves on.
And I mean, this is a thing that I feel like Dragon Ball Z over time has sort of gotten better at, or like it sort of caps off at it in places. Like the Cell fight's a really good example of Goku is essentially the weakest person in the room for a good chunk of when Cell's around. Mm-hmm. And so like the fact that he's training has a very determined strategy behind it and accomplishes a very certain thing. He even says after he gets out of the time chamber that training there is kind of pointless because it just sort of wrecks your body and makes you uncomfortable, and that's not the same thing as making yourself better, which is kind of badass in that moment when Vegeta has no comeback to it. And then in Super, it's a very particular thing where, like, Super Saiyan Blue operates on your body in a specific way that's different from Super Saiyan, which is why he can do Kaioken, and he came up with that on his own. So like stuff like that. So it seems like there are certain contexts where like Goku sort of realizes how he can use the stuff he's already learned to train more efficiently. His fight with Frieza is another pretty good example of this, where like he's using literally every trick he has in every possible variation until finally it just comes down to going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, Frieza was kind of the ultimate foe for that reason. It just nothing was really working. They hit him with the Spirit Bomb, like Saiyan Arc. They throw the Spirit Bomb at Vegeta, it fails. Initially it fails, or they throw it at him, hit him with it, it still fails. They hit Frieza with the thing. It's a much bigger, much more direct kind of thing, and it still fails. And so, like, that's the ultimate attack as far as Dragon Ball's concerned. There's nothing that can get more powerful than a Spirit Bomb, I believe.
Technically.
Yeah, like, because you potentially have infinite energy put into it. Like, what would happen if Beerus gave his energy to a Spirit Bomb?
Ooh, that's a weird question.
Yeah.
Does God Ki work that way? Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. But, like, the idea of using that, and just all the techniques went into fighting Frieza, and they weren't enough. He had to become better to be able to win. And that's really cool.
Yeah. His fight as a full power Super Saiyan against Cell is still one of my favorites, because I feel like he does the same thing on a lot of levels, but still ends up losing. When he does the Warp Kamehameha, that's one of my favorite moments, where like Goku's really playing on the situation and the limit he's been pushed to up to that point, where people think he's just going to blow up the planet, but then he uses instant transmission. You didn't think you could work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are these nice sporadic moments where like Goku is so obscenely clever that it doesn't matter how often you see that moment. It's just so good in that moment.
Oh, definitely. Okay, let's move on to a different part of the character that I feel is really worth talking about.
Oh boy.
Bill did a whole episode of DFOS on this. Is Goku a terrible person?
Yes, absolutely. The guy's an idiot. He's a horrible father.
He is a really horrible father. He's a horrible husband. He's a really bad friend.
Yep. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
In the nicest way.
Like, he's got a good heart. His heart always seems to be in at least somewhat the right place most of the time.
Given his limited understanding of how to engage with people, he's fine. But given that he has to engage with people, he's awful.
Yeah. And, like, the thing I always think back to is, like, everyone will go, oh, the Cell fight, giving him the Sensu Bean. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty dick move. Letting Vegeta live, pretty stupid. Giving Frieza his energy, pretty dumb. Those are kind of the things a lot of people go to. For me, the worst thing he ever did was fucking off with Oob at the end of Z. That is so fucked up. Like, okay. Goku not only, like, he fucks off, he says bye to his family potentially forever, or at least that's what the intention was. Says goodbye to his family and friends, and just flies away with Oob. Goku has the power to fly across the world literally in a matter of minutes. But even without that, he has the power to teleport across the universe in seconds. Why the fuck can't he train Oob during the day and then go back to his family at night? Like, what the fuck with that?
Let's not forget the voluntary and continued forgiveness of Piccolo kidnapping his child and torturing him.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked. There's just like a ton of things like people will go, oh well, there's a reason behind him. Like, maybe, but still though. Sometimes there are reasons, sometimes there's compassion, and sometimes he's just an idiot.
The examples you listed off earlier of like giving Frieza's energy, giving Cell the Sun Stream, letting Vegeta live, these are all things where I'm like, this is him trying to see the best in the person he's with. Like when he let Vegeta go, he recognized on some level it's a selfish thing. He even says it partly because he's the last of his kind, the stuff like that. It's like, I can forgive that. I can forgive the Frieza thing because Frieza was at this point this ruthless, torturous, murderous dictator, and Goku still managing to forgive him means something. It is like a level of compassion you don't see, especially on that scale in that series, really very often. The Cell thing's harder to justify. It's more of just like the faith in his son and weird Saiyan pride bullshit, but there's a reason.
No, like the Saiyan pride thing I throw right out the window because Cell challenged them to a tournament where he would be the only fighter. He should not get any kind of reprieve by like his own rules, right?
Sure, I mean, I could see an argument for Cell, Frieza, and Vegeta. But then there's just the way he treats Gohan, the rest of his family, and just like the whole weird cavalierness that he has about the rest of the world that's really fucked up. Mm-hmm. The current arc in Super, the Tournament of Power thing, or the Universe Survival arc, depending on whatever you're talking in that term. So Goku goes to the Omni King, and it says, like, so let's have a tournament of all the universes. But the losers will have their universe blown up. And the Omni King forgets about this. Everyone's like, yes, let him forget, or else millions upon millions of people will die. And Goku reminds him. And then he has it anyway. And his whole thing is just his whole thing to his friends and family is just like, look, it'll be fine because we'll win. But that's not the point. It's not the point at all. It's the most fucked up thing he's ever done.
What the shit, Goku?
Even if he shows up at the end of it and says his plan the whole time was to use the Super Dragon Balls to revive all the universes, that's still fucked up.
Yeah, that's like torturing an animal, then bringing it back to life, like waiting until its heart stops and then getting out the paddles and bringing it back to life, just so you can torture it again.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. Why would you do that?
That is just straight evil.
Yeah. I mean, ironically, I feel like Goku's almost a better person in most of GT, with the exception of selfishly wanting to stay a kid.
I mean, that one, it's like, especially... Okay, I will give GT this. There does not seem to be any point at which it is acceptable for him to not be a kid anymore. Because he's wished to be a kid with the Black Star Dragon Balls. They don't have time to go get the other Dragon Balls because the Black Star Dragon Balls are going to blow up the Earth. Then the Black Star Dragon Balls are taken out of the equation. And, like, immediately in the aftermath of that, you have Super 17 followed by the Shadow Dragons. So using the Dragon Balls for selfish purposes is totally not okay. So wishing for himself to be older just so that his wife would feel more comfortable is pretty not okay.
I mean, there's also Namekian Dragon Balls, though. And they have more wishes.
Fair. I'll give, like, that is kind of an...
And that is a thing they
one.
they did to revive their planet and stuff. Like, the Namekian Dragon Balls are in that series.
Yeah, you're right. And that is kind of the outlier part. But at the same time, I'm like, it seems kind of unreasonable for him to use the Dragon Balls for anything.
It's
like
not... I mean, him wanting to stay a kid is not the worst things he's ever done. It's just in that weird spectrum of, like, Goku not understanding social relationships. We're like, okay, I recognize Dragon Ball is not built to have this conversation, but, like, he has a wife, and she's now married to a child. He has to, on some level, understand that their relationship with each other is now weird and creepy. But then even beyond that, Super does a thing where Goku doesn't know what a kiss is?
What the shit?
Yeah, and Vegeta's the one who has to try and explain it to him.
God, Goku's a dick.
Yeah, like, I don't understand how you have two kids.
Seriously.
Not one, two. What the fuck? And the second one you had because you thought you were all going to die.
Fucking goddamn. I feel bad for Chi-Chi.
I do too. She's crazy, but, like, he made him that way.
Yeah, right? Like, it's all his fault.
It really
she
is.
should not have to put up with this shit. Just like, he doesn't... Yeah, Goku's a deadbeat dad who just wants to go work out at the gym.
And when you put it in that context, it's no wonder she's so hard on Gohan to study.
Because like Goku was raised in the woods, like without any real okay, Goku's a really bad father. You know who is a worse father apparently is Grandpa Gohan. Yeah. All he told Goku about women is be polite to them. That's apparently it.
Yeah.
He didn't tell this kid jack shit. Admittedly, he had to deal with a child who turned into a giant fucking gorilla.
And killed him.
But still, Grandpa Gohan didn't teach this kid dick.
The best father figure he had for the majority of this franchise is Master Roshi, and that is not a high standard.
It is not. Roshi's a cool character, but yeah, this perverted old man thing, probably not the best male role model.
It's weird how over time Vegeta's become a much better father and a much better person.
I just objectively, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no questioning it.
Yeah, I mean, like, by the time you get to the end of Dragon Ball Z, but then even, like, into Dragon Ball Super and stuff, Vegeta volunteers to not go and train and lets Goku just get infinitely stronger than him for the start of this tournament because Bulma's pregnant and he has to be there.
Yep. And, like, it's interesting. I was watching a video Moscow X did talking kind of around this idea in that apparently only Saiyan royalty really understood relationships, and for, like, the rest of the rabble, sex was just a thing you did for procreation, and, like, there was apparently no emotional attachment beyond that. And so Goku kind of just thinks of Chi-Chi as another one of his friends, that he ignores for, like, years at a time. And I'm like, God, fuck that guy. Like, even putting that aside, the fact that he just ignores his friends for years is a pretty dick move.
Yeah.
And I understand
it's been
life
like
gets in the
5
way.
years between it's like 5 years between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a couple years there because Gohan's obviously got to age up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just he's just a pretty awful guy to like have around as a friend, but you can't be too mad at him because he routinely saves the universe and or the world.
Yeah, you also can't kick his ass, so
that's the thing, is like he's so afraid of Chi-Chi and stuff. And you think that, like, some of that would have rubbed off better.
You would think. I mean, when he has the ability to just disappear.
Right?
It's weird, right? Because Goku is sort of a horrible person and a horrible father. Like, on no uncertain terms, he's a horrible father. But then there's just, like, moments of endearment. Like when he shows up for that party at that final episode party after Boo's been defeated, or the first time he meets Goten, or like he has to leave Goten in the middle of the fusion arc. His kids love him, and his friends love him, so you kind of love him. But if you had to deal with that...
Yeah, it's like, it's one of those things where when you think about it, it's weird, but in the moment, it kind of just works.
Yeah, I mean, this has always kind of been the strength of Toriyama. He's always kind of known how to give you a payoff without any sort of setup. Mm-hmm. Which is not how you should do it, but if you could do it well, by all means.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, what else can we talk about with Goku?
So I don't know whether or not you subscribe to this fan theory, but there's this whole notion of, like, when characters go Super Saiyan, their personality changes. They become, like, different types of people. Gohan does this when he turns Super Saiyan 2 and starts to torture Cell. Super Saiyan 4 Goku is admittedly a very different, much more serious person than Goku typically is. How do you feel about that?
It would make some sort of sense that you're, like, concentrating too much on maintaining that level of power that you'd kind of go a little like Superman-esque, right? Where like Superman's kind of always got that fear in the back of his head that he's going to crush someone when he's just like shaking their hand or something like that. So like it would make sense that he'd be more serious, more grounded in those, at least at the beginning of a form change. That he'd be more serious and grounded because he's dealing with more. He's literally got more weight and has to, process how to deal with that.
And I mean, this is the whole thing with full power Super Saiyan, which is like his eyes visibly change. His face is relaxed. He looks like he's normal. He's just a Super Saiyan, and that was sort of the point of it. Yeah,
and like even then he still had trouble because like Chi-Chi was getting pissed off about all the dinnerware he was breaking and stuff, right?
Yeah. And does the dub have this? I don't remember if the dub of GT has this, but like there's a line Goku has to Zen Shinron where he says when he goes Super Saiyan 4 he loses a bit of his rationality.
There's something to that effect, yeah. He's like, I have trouble controlling myself when I'm like this.
Yeah, something like that. And it's hard to tell whether or not he's joking in that context.
I mean, I totally buy it. Like, it just makes sense that, being that overwhelmed could clearly get to you. I think that's like why Vegeta gets so damn cocky, because he keeps getting more powerful than he could ever imagine possible. Oh, and here's a good transition point. Vegeta always gets like way too cocky when he gets to a new form because he's more powerful than he ever even imagined possible, and he thinks this is the pinnacle, that no one could ever be stronger than he is right now. Whereas Goku is very different because he's always looking for the next level. Like, Vegeta talked about how, in GT, I think, Vegeta says he went Super Saiyan 3 and I could never even imagine that was a thing that could happen. And I think that all goes back to Roshi. In a really interesting way, Roshi and basically King Vegeta, where the Saiyan Society, King Vegeta, kind of enforced this idea that Vegeta is an elite Saiyan. They're the greatest race in the galaxy. They have just untold power. That if anyone can get to the level of Super Saiyan, they would be completely unstoppable. Nothing would ever be able to overwhelm them. And so every time Vegeta achieves a new level, in his mind, this is it. This is, completely perfect. Nothing will ever be more powerful than me. That's why he let Cell transform. That's why he was so cocky when he fought Android 18 and blew his load too quickly. There's so many examples of that happening in Vegeta. Whereas Roshi, you look at the very first World Martial Arts Tournament in the show, Roshi's whole thing is he does not want Goku to win because he wants him to keep trying to get better. He wants Goku to know that there are people out there that are stronger than him, that can beat him, and he just wants Goku to always be trying for that. And I will say this a million times. Roshi did not beat Goku once in the World Martial Arts Tournament. He beat him 5 separate times. That announcer just sucks at his job. I have no idea how he's kept that job for 20 plus years. He is awful.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah. But so Goku loses that tournament for the first time, and so he's just always trying to be stronger, trying to be better, and so that's why he's always reaching for that next level. He's like, I can't possibly be at the pinnacle. There has to be more than this. And he's always right. There is always more. And it gets reinforced again in Dragon Ball with Popo, where Popo just kicks the shit out of Goku after he beat King Piccolo like it's nothing. And Goku was even get a little I beat King Piccolo. He was the strongest on the earth. I won. So this Popo guy, he won't be anything. Popo fucking wipes the floor with him, which makes me wonder why Popo didn't kill King Piccolo, but whatever. It's hanging out with Kami. You think Kami would say, "Hey, Mr. Popo, go fight King Piccolo." But anyway, Popo fucking wipes the floor with Kid Goku, and Goku's like, "Oh my god, Mr. Popo must be the strongest in the world. And he's just always doing that. He's like, I've got to surpass my limits. I've got to surpass my limits. And that's like what makes him such a good fighter, and also kind of a shitty person, because he's always just focused on getting stronger, never on anything else. There's nothing as important as getting stronger to Goku.
Yep. The whole notion of, like you like to mention, the whole limit breaker concept that he has, and particularly when you bounce that with Vegeta, like it makes them one of the most interesting rivalries, where like Goku sort of exists to show Vegeta he's wrong, but Vegeta's ability to catch up exists to make Goku want to keep going. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting relationship, and then particularly with like, if Goku's always going to try and get stronger, then like the way GT ends in particular, or with like he should just leave at this point, is sort of like the perfect moral lesson that he needs, because no one's going to be able to kill him. And if he sticks around, he's just going to make things worse. And that ending is supposed to be a lot more optimistic than I'm making it sound, but I kind of like making it sound pessimistic.
Well, it was kind of the same idea at the end of the Cell arc, right? Where he doesn't want to be wished back because he seems to be attracting all these things that are trying to destroy the world anyway. Yeah. And I don't totally buy that. Like, the only one he attracted was Frieza, in my opinion. Like, you know...
Well, Cell.
No, because the Red Ribbon Army... Yeah, but the Red Ribbon Army was going to destroy the world, or rule it over it anyway. So someone had to be there to stop them.
Well, no, that's true, but, like, the fact that they are retaliating against him specifically is still the core motivation there.
Yeah, but, like, okay, so Roshi destroys the Red Ribbon Army instead of Goku. Jiro still survives. Jiro creates an android to destroy Roshi. It'd be a less powerful android. It would still destroy all life on Earth.
No, it would, but, like, the personal motivation is still there. Like, even though they have, like, more of a concrete reason, it doesn't make it any less his fault.
Maybe, I don't know. I think that's a debatable one, where it's like, if it weren't Goku, it would be someone else anyway, is my thing.
That's fair.
It might as well be Goku. Is what it comes down to. The only time that I feel the Earth was specifically threatened because of Goku, just because of Goku, was when Frieza came for revenge. That is the only time it's like, specifically, it could only have been Goku.
Is Beerus a debatable one?
You know, maybe, but, like, all the Saiyans were there, so they would have...
Yeah.
Like, Beerus wasn't looking just for Goku, he was looking for the Super Saiyan God, so they would have gone to wherever Super Saiyans were, and they were all just happened to be on Earth, so...
That's fair. I mean, technically, that's almost more Majin Buu's fault than it is anyone else's.
Yeah. So there's, like, a lot of weird stuff. Like, Buu would have been resurrected regardless. King Piccolo would have been brought back by Pilaf regardless. There are just so many instances where I'm like, no, this is not entirely Goku's fault. He is no Tony Stark.
No, that's fair.
Okay. What else? Let's just go ahead and go on to favorite design. Of all the different forms and costumes that Goku's taken over the years, what is your favorite?
So if we're talking just, like, base form...
No, it can be any form.
Okay. Well, just, like, I've got, like, one for each. But, like, if we're just talking, like, base form standard Goku, the gi he's wearing after he wakes up from his heart attack, where, like, the belt no longer, like, loops down, and he doesn't have, like, any patch or, like, any school or anything on his gi itself, I like that a lot. But, like, as far as Super Saiyan transformations, any of that goes, Super Saiyan 4. I love Super Saiyan 4.
Yeah, for me, I actually really like Kid Goku. In particular, when he was training with Roshi and he wore the orange what is it, gi or ki? Which
gi.
Gi for the first time. I really, really like that. It looks just really cool. It's like the start of the orange outfit and all that stuff. and I just love it to death. The purple and stuff is okay. I like the power pole, but I'm trying to remember, does he use the power pole when he's got the orange on?
Yeah, he uses the power pole for most of Dragon Ball.
Yeah, okay. I like the power pole with the gi then. Whatever happened to the damn power pole?
I think it's just in Goku's house. I think we see it like once in a filler episode of Z when Gohan's a kid, but like that's about it.
Gotcha.
And then he has it at the end of GT for reasons.
Sure, why not? No, so I like that one as far as base, just Goku character design stuff. Something about Goku in orange just really pops. It's arguably iconic.
Oh no, it absolutely is. Although to be fair, Goku in blue can sometimes be underrated. When he steals Shu's costume in early Dragon Ball, and he's got like the blue with a little bit of yellow going on, that looks pretty good too.
Yeah, I agree. Then the other, as far as transformation, I do really like Super Saiyan 4, but there's something about just the basicness and the laziness of Super Saiyan that I love to death. It is just so freaking simple. And I really do love that.
That first moment, like that is just in Western culture at this point, the initial Super Saiyan transformation is one of the most iconic things. Mm-hmm. Like there is an entire generation of children that grew up yelling at themselves because they wanted to go Super Saiyan.
Exactly.
That accounts for something.
Yeah, certainly. So I do love that to death. Okay, recommendations is a weird one because, just like watch Dragon Ball.
Do you have a favorite series between all of them at this point? Maybe that would be a better...
I do, but it's not because of Goku. So, like, let's say, where is Goku at his best? Like,
where is Goku at his best?
What arc do you think is that is the quintessential best version of Goku?
Quintessential best version of Goku. I think I'm gonna have to go with the final World Martial Arts Tournament in Dragon Ball. Mm-hmm. It's not that like it's not like I like that one the best as opposed in everything else in the franchise, but like when you're writing Goku, the kind of like both the idiocy, the cockiness, and the fighting genius is all there.
Yeah, and also the honor thing, where like even after he's fighting Piccolo for the fate of the world, he still makes sure not to go out of the ring.
Yep. I mean, when you contrast like his fight with Piccolo, his fight with Chi-Chi, and his fight with Tien, like that is the spectrum of Goku's behavior. Mm-hmm. Particularly his fight with Tien, where like he looks like he's losing, and he's still making fun of Tien because he knows how he's going to win.
Yep.
There's something
like that
about
moment where he takes off the weighted clothes and just starts bouncing around the ring. Oh my god, that is excellent.
Yep.
They
arc
play
is
the
glorious.
music there and everything. Yeah, it's really good. I would tend to agree with you because I tend to like Dragon Ball just a little bit more now, having gone through everything than Z. It's really hard because my favorite character is Vegeta, and obviously he's not in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I do really like Dragon Ball. It's got a little bit better storytelling overall. It's my biggest problem with Dragon Ball Z for the longest time was that we got the Saiyan arc, which is really good. We get the Frieza arc, which everybody loves. And then I just feel like the Cell/Android arc is just like, okay, let's get to the next level of Super Saiyan. And that always bothered me.
That's fair. And I mean, when people's standard for Dragon Ball Z is the Cell arc, it's perfectly reasonable to think Dragon Ball is better if you don't love that arc.
Yeah, that's a lot of what I hear people say is they love the Cell arc. I'm like, it's got its moments, but...
I'm in that weird middle ground where, like, I like the Cell arc a lot, but there's no arguing by the end it kind of falls apart.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. That'll do it for the Goku discussion. I suppose I gotta come up with somebody now, don't I?
You do. Who's it gonna be?
Who is it gonna be? I didn't think this through. You don't watch that series. I'll have to get someone on who watches that series. I'm just looking over at action figures right now.
Good plan.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's talk about Carnage.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't read a ton with Carnage, but interesting character. Okay, yeah, so Carnage it is. Everyone, thanks very much for listening. Please join us next time for the episode about Carnage. And also, check out the Dragon Ball Sai discussion, coming sooner or later. I'm, really hyped for that one.
That's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, all right. Bye, everybody. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I am the Exile.
And we are your geeky gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.